The film opens by introducing us to Joon-woo, a young gamer who wakes up late in his family's high-rise apartment in Seoul. He finds a note and some cash left by his parents, indicating they are out for the day and he is home alone. Unbothered, Joon-woo immediately logs onto his computer to play a multiplayer game. However, the usual banter over the headset quickly turns into panic as his teammates urge him to turn on the television. The news is broadcasting reports of a mysterious, hyper-aggressive outbreak sweeping the city. Joon-woo steps out onto his balcony and is horrified to see the streets below descending into absolute chaos. Cars are crashing, explosions are going off, and people are violently attacking and biting one another. The infection acts rapidly, turning ordinary citizens into bloodthirsty, fast-moving zombies. The terror hits home when Joon-woo hears a disturbance in his hallway. He foolishly opens his front door to check, allowing a terrified neighbor to barge inside. The man begs for sanctuary, claiming he just needs to use the bathroom. However, it quickly becomes apparent that the neighbor has already been bitten. His eyes turn bloodshot, his body contorts, and he fully transforms right in front of Joon-woo. In a desperate struggle, Joon-woo barely manages to overpower the zombie and shove him out the front door, locking it just in time. Realizing the gravity of the situation, Joon-woo barricades his front door by dragging the heavy refrigerator across it. Days begin to blur together as he locks himself inside. He receives a fleeting text from his parents telling him they are safe, giving him a sliver of hope. But the situation outside only worsens. He decides to post a rescue request on social media with his apartment details, hoping the authorities will see it. To get a better view of the outside without risking his life, he tapes his smartphone to his flying drone and navigates it around the apartment complex. The footage confirms his worst fears. The entire neighborhood is completely overrun. Soon, the city's infrastructure begins to fail. He loses his internet connection, the cell networks go dark, and eventually, the running water stops. One night, Joon-woo witnesses a female police officer being swarmed by a horde of infected in the courtyard below. In a moment of impulsive horror, he screams at the zombies from his balcony. This massive mistake draws the attention of a highly aggressive, super strong zombie nearby. The creature manages to break into Joon-woo's apartment, shoving the heavy refrigerator aside with terrifying ease. In the ensuing fight, Joon-woo's remaining food supplies are knocked to the floor and ruined. But he manages to trick the zombie into charging at him, causing it to plummet off the balcony to the ground below. Now completely out of food and water, Joon-woo's physical and mental health rapidly deteriorates. He resorts to drinking his father's expensive liquor to stave off the hunger pains. But this only leads to severe hallucinations. In his drunken, starving state, he envisions his family sitting in the living room with him, a heartbreaking mirage that shatters when he snaps back to reality. A brief, momentary restoration of the cell network delivers a crushing blow, a voicemail from his family. As he listens, he hears the sounds of his parents and sister being attacked and overrun by the infected. The realization that he is entirely alone breaks him, blinded by grief and rage. Joon-woo grabs a golf club, tears down his barricade, and storms out into the hallway to kill as many zombies as he can. The noise instantly attracts a massive horde. Joon-woo fights valiantly, but is quickly overwhelmed and barely manages to scramble back into his apartment. Slamming the door shut, feeling that there is no hope left, no family to wait for, and no rescue coming, he decides to end his own life. He constructs a noose from a cord, kicks away his stool, and prepares to die. Just as Joon-woo is hanging from the ceiling, a bright red laser pointer begins flashing erratically across his living room wall. The beam settles directly on a poster, highlighting the word "No." Realizing someone is trying to communicate with him, a desperate surge of adrenaline kicks in, and he manages to free himself from the noose, gasping for air. He looks out his balcony and spots the source of the laser, a young woman named Kim Yoo-bin, who is alive and barricaded in the apartment building directly across the courtyard. Using binoculars and digital signs on their tablet and phone screens, the two begin to communicate. Yoo-bin is far more pragmatic and organized than Joon-woo. She has booby-trapped her apartment and managed her rations much better. Seeing that Joon-woo is starving, Yoo-bin attempts to send him food by tying a string to a baseball and throwing it across the courtyard to set up a makeshift zip line. The ball falls short, landing on the ground below. This inadvertently attracts a zombified firefighter, who uses the rope to begin scaling the side of Yoo-bin's building. To save her, Joon-woo flies his drone over to distract the climbing zombie, sacrificing his device in the process. The distraction gives Yoo-bin just enough time to wake up, grab a hand axe, and dispatch the zombie. Eventually, they successfully establish the zip line, and Yoo-bin sends over a care package of food, water, and walkie-talkies so they can finally speak to one another. The walkie-talkies bring a massive morale boost, and the two survivors begin to deeply bond over their shared trauma and will to live. However, their sanctuary is soon compromised. While trying to stay quiet, a nervous Yoo-bin accidentally knocks over a shelving unit in her apartment. The loud crash sends the infected horde into a frenzy, and they begin swarming her hallway, threatening to break down her door. Knowing she can't hold them off forever, Yoo-bin tells Joon-woo she is going to make a run for the 8th floor of his apartment building, which she had previously observed to be completely empty. Armed with a hand axe, Yoo-bin rappels down from her balcony into the courtyard. Joon-woo, refusing to let her fight alone, arms himself, leaves his apartment, and rushes down to the ground floor to help her. Together, they fight tooth and nail through the sea of zombies in the courtyard. They manage to reach Joon-woo's building and sprint up the stairwell to the 8th floor, but they find all the doors firmly locked. With the infected hot on their trail and closing in, they are cornered. Just as the horde is about to overtake them, the door to the final suite suddenly flies open. A middle-aged stranger pulls them inside and locks the heavy door behind them, saving their lives. The stranger appears to be a savior. He offers the exhausted pair heavily rationed Spam and fresh water. Grateful, they eat and drink, but almost immediately, their vision blurs and their bodies go numb. The stranger had laced their food with heavy sedatives. As Joon-woo passes out, he watches helplessly as the man binds Yoo-bin's wrists with zip ties. When Joon-woo regains consciousness, he finds himself restrained. The stranger reveals his true, horrifying motive. His wife is infected and locked inside one of the bedrooms, and he intends to feed Yoo-bin to her to keep her alive. He throws Yoo-bin into the bedroom and shuts the door, ignoring Joon-woo's desperate threats. The room goes eerily silent. The stranger, confused, opens the door to check on his wife. He discovers that Yoo-bin, fighting through the drugs, managed to throw a blanket over the zombie wife's head to blind her. The zombie lunges blindly and ends up biting her own husband instead. In the chaos, Yoo-bin retrieves a hidden firearm and shoots them both. The loud gunshots echo outside, immediately drawing the massive horde up to the 8th floor. Feeling entirely defeated, Yoo-bin asks Joon-woo to shoot her before they are eaten alive. He hesitates. But right at that moment, they hear the distinct, heavy thumping of helicopter rotors outside. Fueled by one last burst of adrenaline, they sprint up to the roof, barely outpacing the flood of zombies. Just as the infected break through the rooftop doors and corner them at the ledge, a military rescue helicopter rises from below the building's edge. Special Forces soldiers gun down the zombies, pulling Joon-woo and Yoo-bin aboard to safety. The film closes with a news anchor reporting that the military is actively tracking down survivors who posted their coordinates on social media. We see Joon-woo's social media page one last time, where his hashtag #StayAlive automatically updates to simply #alive.